Welcome back to Tittok, the mess that is my mind. Cheers. We've got my favorite beer here. Shout out to 1664. Kronenbourg Blanc is the best beer in my opinion. I love it. It's such a light, refreshing 5%er. You know, it's fresh and fruity, right on the label. Tells you what it is right there on the label. Gotta love a product for just getting to the point in that regard. But cheers, everyone. Episode 8. We just released the one with my grandmother, Wilma's Wisdom. If you haven't checked that one out, go give it a listen. Bless my grandma for doing that with me. It was her first podcast. I'm like holding this beer, as if it's like an advertisement, this whole introduction. It was my grandmother's first time sitting down in front of a camera like that and just talking. It was new for both of us. I mean, the next day I went to sit down with my friend Nav, and you guys will see that next week. That's the next episode coming out. Super excited for that one. Nav and I met in school, but of course my grandma's known me for my whole 25 years of life. So for a first episode, she did a great job. It helped you guys get to know me a little bit better. I mean, there was a few points in there that were a little, I don't want to say personal, but even when she was mentioning my graduation dress and sort of me not fitting in, of course I naturally felt a little emotional when she said that. I mean, even listening back to that, or when I was editing, I got choked up. I still do, listening back to it, because when I was going through that time, I didn't necessarily realize that's when she said that I had vocalized, it's because I didn't feel like I fit in. I don't even remember that. I don't remember, I just remember the emotion behind, my grade 8 graduation and how it was like before high school, and there was just this big build up to things. At least in Canada anyways, because I went to a different school just for grade 7 and 8 before going to a different school for high school. So it was sort of this end of my youth, but also in grade 8 you kind of want to look hot and stuff, right? It was a really trying time. I think a lot of us that sort of just persevere through hard times and focus on the good, it's such a great way to get through those hard times, but your mind sort of blocks things out. And then I forgot what it was like to be the grade 8 me who just really didn't feel like she fit in. I had a really cool group of girlfriends. Naturally in grade 8 there's falling outs, and you're all discovering who you are, or at least you think you are. I mean, granted, it's a lifelong journey, like I've said, but I had girls they all came from such different families. It wasn't all just mother and father. Like, it was blended families, single mothers, a whole mix of things, right? So I never really felt like, oh, I'm really missing out not having a mom or a dad, at least when it came to that time. But apparently I did. Apparently I didn't feel like I fit in, and I was super sassy when it came to me not being able to shop with my mom. Like, I felt I should be entitled to, right? Anyway, it was a great time sitting down with her, and I just love her to bits. And I hope after watching that, you guys, not that you got to know her super well, but the connection between us is strong. The love between us is there. And anyway, cheers to Wilma. Cheers to episode 8. Cheers to her wisdom that she'll continue to share with me, and I'll continue to share with you. 2 weeks post chemical peel. We're feeling real good about it. I'm about a week out, 2 weeks out from my next one. I go for my second one on April 5th, and we're going to go, next level intensity. So I'm really excited to continue to update you guys on the results of that, but just know that for now, I'm back to sweating profusely. I'm back onto my running kick. I've run 3 times this week, every single time. Better and better, because I'm a boss-ass bitch in my new running shoes. And with the weather being nicer too, you're just that much more motivated to get the summer body goals, just get to a better place, even mentally. Like, gosh, if it wasn't for running, I I mean, I've already lost my mind, obviously, but it would have been in a way worse place if I wasn't able to go running and escape these walls with all of my favorite shit in it, but you still gotta get out of it and breathe fresh air, explore the neighborhood, do good things for your health. And running just checks all those boxes. Also, you just get to listen to your favorite music. I kind of switch it up when I'm running. I love rap music, of course, like Future. I don't know why. Future's really on my running playlist nonstop. I know I'll be getting back into biking, of course. I've got to take my bike in, get a little tune-up, get the tires filled up with some air, and naturally with Toronto being a pretty big bike city, I mean, half of our major road is pretty much bike lanes, Bloor Street, but regardless, I'm not really one to bike on a main street. I'm more into like trail running and going through the forest, and it sounds a little weird, but there's a cemetery I really like biking through. It's it's just like, it's such a historical cemetery. There's gravestones that have been there for centuries, and gravestones for really influential people. Nonetheless, Toronto is like bike crazy, so a lot of people are getting their bikes tuned up right now, so I'll patiently await for that. Because, mentally, like, I've needed those outlets this week. I've tried it all. I've tried journaling, in addition to my running. I haven't really gotten into journaling, with the exception of the gratitude journal, like I've mentioned. But I had a venting session, not with Amy, not with my therapist, but with my best friend now, thank goodness for her. And she recommended journaling, and although I'm really hesitant to sort of sit down and intentionally put my words to paper, it's an exercise that I think is really beneficial to practice, because kind of like this podcast, I'm just getting words out, I'm just thinking and speaking all at the same time. Whereas with journaling, it takes a lot, at least in my case, takes a lot longer to write than it does for me to speak. So you're forced to be intentional with your word and catch up with your word. And that's something that I'm trying to practice, being more intentional with my word, kinder to myself, kinder to the way that I speak to people. And I think journaling may be, where I start to conquer this challenge, and where I start to really put the practice, walk the walk, do the thing to reach the goal, right? So in addition to journaling and doing my exercising and eating healthy, having baths, walking my dog, listening to music, I mean, it's all really simple stuff, but it's really necessary, especially when you're going through another challenge, another one of life's challenges, inevitable challenges. I was watching, there's a podcast, 3 Girls, 1 Kitchen, shout out Lana Rhodes and the rest of the crew. Not that they'll ever hear this, but they were interviewing one of the co-hosts, Olivia, and one of the questions was, the episode was titled Daddy Issues, but one of the questions was sort of, do you feel like not having a dad in your life has impacted you? And I like to always think of the positive. I'm focusing on the negative is not going to bring my parents back, so why would I do that? That's sort of the mentality I've fallen into. But I think it's an interesting topic to explore. I really wish that I had more parental guidance in my life, truly. It makes me who I am, being that I haven't really had that. However, I really wish I had a dad to just be like, Jennifer, like, why the fuck are you dating this guy? Jennifer, what the fuck are you doing with your life? Like, and I wish I had my mom to be like, to just like, and, on that thought, I wish I could have a beer with my dad, and just have him be like, okay, kiddo, like, let's reel it in, figure out the fucking plan, and move the fuck on, because life's too short. My mom died when she was 32. That's 7 years from now. If I think about myself sort of through that lens, my mom had her own business. She had a child. She had done so much shit in her 32 years. And I have so much more time to accomplish it, and I'm just so motivated to get stuff done. And I wish that I just had, because the fire's under my ass, I just don't have, other than myself, really somebody to hold me accountable to these things. Which is fine. I'm just complaining. I'm just venting. Who knows? On one end, you could have a father telling you what not to do, who not to be with. But on the flip side, you could have a very controlling and restrictive father who's doing the opposite, telling you, exactly who to be with, exactly what to do, even though it might not be anywhere in line with what you want. Thinking wishfully here, what would it be like to have a cool father? I mean, although my father made like an indescribable, life-altering mistake, I was told he was a really cool guy. So I've met with a psychic medium who told me he apologizes. He wasn't in his right mind, all of these things. And I just really would, you can't turn back time, but I really would just love to be having a beer with my mom and dad, go on another camping trip, go on, go dress shopping with my mom, go do stuff. And that's just me venting, because I kind of feel alone right now. I do feel alone this week. Thank goodness for my best friend Nav. Thank goodness for my dog Lion. Thank goodness for my inner strength that I've adapted from women like my grandmother, my Aunt Colleen, and just the list goes on. Thank goodness for all of that. I'm very grateful. Very optimistic. I always, as much as my default can sometimes be reactive, negative, angry, frustrated, give me some time to clear my mind, be rational, seek some clarity, and really quickly that transforms into optimism, positive energy, and I'm trying to think of what shift really happens in my mind when that occurs. But time, I know I always say this, time heals all. Time is really powerful. I was joking to Nav, I wish, kind of like how there's, if you're facing, and I'm just adding light and a little humor to this subject, but if you're, at least in Canada, if you have stage 4 cancer, or you're just, the illness that you have is, you essentially just would rather pass on, essentially to be euthanized. You can be put under. So, in the same sense, it's almost like I just want to be put into a coma. I'd like to just skip forward to the part where I'm like a better version of myself. I mean, it's great to do the healing and put in the work, but like, can we just skip forward to like where I'm happy and the time has passed and I'm in a good place? It's like, just go right there. Colleen, my aunt who I grew up with, she always had tarot cards, oracle cards, just dream journal books, like different, it would sort of translate like, oh, if you had a dream about your teeth falling out, it means that you feel like you're anxious and you've lost control. Or, if you have a dream where, your dog ran away or something, you might feel like you're struggling to be organized. I don't know. It just sort of translated dreams. Or she always had really cool, just really alternative stuff around. Nonetheless, we did a tarot reading, and I'm on a mission to open my heart chakra. Okay, I do meditate. I love meditating. I haven't prioritized meditation as much as I should be, as much, even last summer I was in such a great place, physically, emotionally, mentally. I was so in my zone, and I'm thrilled to get back to that place. I mean, the nice weather really helps. In fact, it's a major factor in me being in a better mood and a better place mentally. But I felt I had all my chakras aligned. I felt like I was in a good place, and then certain people come into your life and sort of throw you off course. They teach you things, right? Like really positive things, but then they also just throw you off course and take away from you and take away from your essence. Mostly because you allowed them to, right? But granted, You have the ability to reconnect with yourself and gather those pieces, align the chakras, and apparently this one is the one that needs the most work. I'm pointing at my heart. I need to open it up more in order to just accept better things, okay? Because there's no time for negative people and negative things anymore. Good vibes only. Cheesy saying, but it's so true. Good vibes only here, okay? And I'll tell you what is a good vibe. 1664, Kronenbourg Blanc, ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba, get yourself a beer. Get yourself a fucking beer and align those fucking chakras. Good vibes only, no time for fucking negative energy, alright? No, when I was talking to my grandma, we were sort of mainly focusing on friendships, but I want to switch it up to relationships. You know, sometimes in a certain relationship, you might find yourself getting lost in someone who just doesn't serve you anymore, and you don't really know how to leave that situation. You know, you might feel just simply too wrapped up in their world to the point that you've lost yourself, so you're in fear of leaving that situation. A lot of people, and I do mention this with Nav, a lot of people like to focus on the negative, but when the negative does outweigh the positive, you do have to ask yourself if that person really is right for you. You know, whether it's just at that time or in general, you know. Because time, you know, does reveal all. Maybe you will be friends, maybe you will, you know, fall back in love, maybe you will do all these things, but it's not selfish to leave a situation that you're just not happy in. And you really hope for the best in a lot of cases, romantically, with friendships, but shit, people can be manipulative. People can up and leave after 6 years. People can tell you that they love you right to your face and that they support you and all you've been through, and then go up on a public stage and then just totally rip you apart and make fun of you. I'm trying not to be bitter right now. Feeling a little bitter, you know? Feeling a little bitter. I'm starting an art challenge. I'm doing it. I've been dilly-dallying with this fucking art shit. So, I'm starting a 30-day art challenge. I'm going to be busting out some content. I'm not really trying to be the world's best content creator. I just want to get better at it. Like with this podcast, with Instagram, with TikTok, with anything, you got to put in the work, you got to practice it, you got to see what works for you and your audience and who collectively wants to enjoy whatever content you're putting out, right? I have my Lion Harbor account, which is going to be not really rebranded, but quickly switched over to my personal art page. We're going to have a TikTok page where we're just busting out content, so I'm excited. I keep saying excited. I'm so excited. That's my blanket way of saying, Jennifer, follow through, otherwise you're going to be disappointed in yourself. You put in the fucking effort. And like Wilma said, nothing worthwhile isn't earned. Something like that. That's the brief way of saying, work hard for it, bitch, otherwise it's not going to be fucking worth it. So last year I had the pleasure of serving on my first board, offering my opinion and advocating for youth in regards to children's participation in business. It was a super cool experience for me. It was funded by the King and Queen of Scotland. I was partnered with Ryerson University and professors from, located in Edinburgh and everywhere. Like, it was just a worldwide project, but I got to represent the youth of Toronto, and essentially the resource has come out, but it was really cool to talk about how companies like IKEA and even like RBC, the company that I worked with for a while, they really try to have youth participation, whether it be in internships or even with IKEA, they get children to help prototype new products, and imagination is such a crucial part in the new world and how things are going to form, and I can't think of people that are more imaginative than children. But yeah, serving on the board really put into perspective how much I do love youth advocacy and working in that space. When I'm sad, I listen to disco music. So if you ever come into contact with me while I'm listening to disco music, run. Run for the fucking hills. No, but it's great. It turns my mood around. It takes me to a different place, a different era. An era I never existed in, but maybe my past self was like some disco queen. And when I listen to disco music, it just reconnects me with her. I love it. For my 24th birthday when I was in Toronto, we went to the Piston, which is a big funky disco bar. I mean, I'm sure there was way cooler places, but it's the only one I could really find at the time. And it was so fun. It was so fun to put on my big bell bottoms and my go-go boots and bust out whatever moves I thought I had, right? I love dancing. Some of my best teenage memories was just like dancing in the club. My friend Devin and I would find this like the big speaker and just like be dancing up on the speaker, feeling the bass in our body. I miss those days. I should get Devin on this podcast sometime. Him and I have some funny stories we could talk about. We did a lot of partying, a lot of drugs, sex, drugs, rock and roll. That's sort of the time that Devin and I had together. It's still great whenever him and I get, we're both way more settled. Although we're not old, we're just a lot more chill and fine with not being like ravers at this time in our life. I mean, it's, naturally you grow out of that. Not everyone. Most people. I did some music festivals, some partying, got it out of my system, and I'm really glad I did. I don't miss random strangers trying to grind up on me and buy me shots, but I just miss the atmosphere, right, of being social and being around other people, and just I don't really want to get back to that. I'm happy I got to experience it. We've got a bit of a new filming setup today. I'm filming on a new camera situation. The other one was filming in 18-minute increments, and that just was not going to do for me. So we had to switch it up. We're trying this out. We can always switch it up again, trial and error, until we conquer. I think it looks good. I've been staring at myself a little bit too much in the camera, but that's okay. That's all right. I'm just excited to have makeup on and be feeling good about myself. I'm feeling a little bit clear-minded, a little bitter, I don't even know. So I thought, what better mood to podcast in than just like this mishmash of emotion. I stupidly told my therapist, oh no, let's wait 3 weeks for our next session. So I still have some time to go. In fact, I'm getting my skin peel and the therapy session all in the same day. So it'll be great time for healing. And I want you guys to hold out for the episode with Nav next week. So much fun getting to sit down with her and just talk about her current situation. She's been all over the place after finishing school with me. She was going to school in Toronto. Now she's back, doing stuff not in Toronto, but that's where she's going to be soon enough, because she's so driven, and she accomplishes anything she sets her mind to. So it's just a matter of time before my future neighbor Nav is in Toronto with me. So anyway, episode with her is coming next week. In the meantime, you know where to find me. Okay, this is getting to be old hat at this point. No, I'm just kidding. If you're brand new here, or if you haven't already subscribed on the podcast platform you're listening on, or the YouTube, if you're watching visually, please do so. It means a lot to me just to receive a rating, or thumbs up, a comment. I want this podcast to be shared with everyone. I know I've got analytics on Anchor that are telling me this is pretty well an international thing. I mean, shout out to my listeners in Ireland. Shout out to my listeners in Vietnam. Shout out to my listeners in South Africa. And shout out to my listeners in California. California knows how to fucking party, and I really hope that I can come see LA before it totally goes to shit like the rest of the fucking world. But if not, that's okay too. Lion, should we take a road trip to Malibu? That could be fun. Is it even legal? Who cares? Cheers to better days, better skin, bigger butts. Guys, don't forget what you deserve. Don't forget what you deserve. A lot of girls are like, oh my god, hot girl summer, don't get left behind. That's not my mentality. My mentality is don't settle for less. Focus on yourself. The best is yet to come. Alright guys, thanks for listening to my messy mind that just needed to get some stuff off of her tits. So, hope you enjoyed it. If not, I'm not offended. But tell me down in the comments if you didn't like it. Or tell me what you loved about it. I hope to see you guys soon. Take care. Peace and love. Mwah.